The translation is as follows. This coming Friday is Gaur Purnima, the auspicious appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This beautiful prayer inspires us in proper spirit to approach this holy day. Anyone who has accepted the two lotus feet of Lord Caitanya as their only asset knows the true essence of devotional service. If anyone gives submissive oral reception to the pleasing sweet pastimes of Lord Caitanya, then immediately his heart becomes cleansed of all material contamination. Anyone who simply chants the name of Sri Krishna Chaitanya will immediately develop love of Godhead. I offer him all congratulations, saying, Haribo. If anyone feels ecstasy and cries by simply hearing the transcendental qualities of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he at once understands the eternal loving affairs between Radha and Krishna. Anyone who has understood that the associates of Lord Caitanya are eternally liberated souls immediately becomes eligible to enter into the abode of Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, in Vrindavan, in his next birth. If anyone understands that there is no difference between Gauda Mandala, the place in West Bengal wherein Lord Caitanya had his pastimes, and the transcendental abode of Sri Vrindavan, then he actually lives in Vrindavan. Anyone who takes pleasure sporting within the waves of the ocean of Lord Chaitanya's distribution of love of God immediately becomes a confidential devotee of Sri Sri Radha Madhava. It does not matter whether such a devotee is in the renounced order of life or whether a householder. If he is actually taking part in Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan activities and actually understanding what it is, then such a person is always liberated. Narottam Das aspires for his association. Narottam Das Thakur, we know, was a prince. He was the son of a great and wealthy king, the only heir to the entire fortune. But as a very young boy, after hearing the wonderful pastimes of Lord Caitanya and his associates, after hearing the philosophy of the essence of all knowledge, pure unalloyed devotion, it was his only ambition. And with great difficulty, he left everything behind and went to Vrindavan. There, he was performing the most menial possible service to his spiritual master, Lokanath Goswami. When Lokanath Goswami saw to the extent that Narottam Das was humbling himself to do such simple chores that practically no one would consider doing, he was astounded. He asked, "Why, Narottam? Why are you doing such menial, simple labor? Even in such a dirty place? For me, You are a prince. You are from a family of royalty. Why? Narottam Das Thakur's reply has great and deep significance. Although simple, it penetrates the heart. With folded hands and tears of sincerity in his eyes, he spoke. He said, "Dear Guru Maharaj, yes, I have left the fabulous wealth and fortune of my kingdom. But in return, I have achieved the highest treasure of all treasures, of which nothing in this world can compare. Humble service to my Guru and Krishna." Why is it such a great treasure? Neha bhikamanasosti pratyavayo nividyate. This Purushartha Siromani, the crest jewel of all goals of life, devotional service, is in fact the greatest treasure. One reason, because it is everlasting. It is the constitutional nature of our very soul to serve the Supreme with love. Everything else will be transformed and ultimately lost in the course of time. Krishna tells in Gita that his power of time within this world is infallible. We cannot escape. At every moment, time is stealing not only everything we have, but our very lives. And when we consider the reality of eternality, what is the span of our life? There is the story of that sage who was given a benediction that for every hair on his body he would live a lifetime of Brahma. Lifetime of Brahma is 311 trillion years. Hare Krishna. And this sage, he did not have a shaved head. He had so many tens of millions of hairs. Does anyone in this room have any estimation of how many hairs are on their body? And yet we think we're so knowing. We think that our intelligence has the capability of understanding God. We can't even understand this body we've been living with for so many years. So the sage was living on the bank of river with no house. So somebody came up to him and said, "Why don't you build a house? Or allow us to build a house?" He said, "There's no need, because I'm only here for a short time. It's not worth it. In the light of eternity, even that hairy sage that was living quadrillions of years, it's a short time." Time is relative. Everything within this world is relative to our particular perception. The consciousness of an ant is that that ant is thinking that he or she is living a very, very long, full life. For the ant, in his or her tiny little existence, the transformation and span of time of maybe a couple weeks seems the same way to the ant as 100 years does for us. Now you might ask, how does Swamiji actually know what ants think? Actually, we know by hearing, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the super soul who knows the thoughts of every living entity, and he tells us. It is not our speculation. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hriddeshirjuna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutanam yantra rutani maya. Krishna tells in Gita, I am the super soul within the heart of every living being. He is directing our wanderings. Sarvasya chaham hritishani vashtoma tasmitir jnanam apohanam cha. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjana bhavashani chabutani mamtu vedana kashchana. The Lord knows every thought of every living being because He is seated within the heart. So He has revealed this information. That even the insignificant little insect that is born at sunset and goes through his childhood pastimes and then grows up into adolescence and then finds a mate and has a family, and the family grows up and there's children and there's grandchildren and there's great-grandchildren, and then he grows older and older and older until he dies, and that whole span of what we would consider 100 years takes place before the sunrise. In 12 hours it's living a 100-year life by our calculation, and relatively is thinking that long. So time is very relative. But the real question of success in life is how we utilize our time. So Narottam Das Thakur, he is explaining that pure devotional service is the greatest treasure because it is the eternal nature of the soul. Najayate mriyate va kadachin. The soul is eternal. It is not subjected to birth or death. And Sanatana Dharma is to understand the true nature of the soul. We are part and parcel of the Supreme Soul or God. And therefore our nature is to serve with love. To the extent we want to please the Lord, to that extent we experience ananda or ecstasy. It is a wonderful contradiction. Because in this world, everyone wants to be happy. But the Holy Scriptures and this ages teach us what real happiness is. Everlasting, unlimited happiness comes when we don't want happiness, when we want to give happiness. To the degree our heart is selflessly offering happiness to Krishna or to Krishna's parts and parcels with proper knowledge, to that extent the soul experiences transcendental ecstasy. When we want to take happiness for ourselves, it comes and it goes. And it's little puddles. Little puddles come and evaporate, and come and evaporate, and come and evaporate. But to that extent that we simply want to give pleasure to the Lord, the ocean of happiness, unlimited, eternal happiness, is revealed within our heart. So the treasures of this world, the Bible tells, Jesus said, do not make your treasure in this world, make your treasure in the kingdom of God. And then he tells why. Because in this world your treasure will be stolen by thieves, rusted by the elements, or eaten by moths. But if you make your treasure in the kingdom of God, there is no such elements. And the kingdom of God is within. So devotional service to the Lord, the loving exchange between the soul and God, is eternal. And it is also unlimited. Every living being essentially is seeking love. Things cannot bring us deep happiness. Exchanges of love can bring the heart happiness. The soul is within the heart. To understand our relationship with God and express it through service is the ultimate happiness. And it's never taken away. Therefore, Narottam Das Thakur declared to his Guru Maharaj that this simple happiness, even of just cleaning the ground after you perform your duties, there is no treasure more valuable in all of the cosmic manifestation for me than this. Srila Prabhupada explains how Narottam Das Thakur, his prayers, which have been sung for the past 400 years, they are written in very simple Bengali language. However, they are as good as the original Vedas. Why? Because he has extracted the very essence of the Vedas. So Thakur Narottam is praising those who have taken shelter of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu as being most fortunate. And in his humility, he is longing for the association of those devotees. He does not discriminate. It doesn't matter the material designations one may have. Whether one is Eastern or Western, black, white, red, yellow, whether one is man or woman, old or young, rich or poor, learned or illiterate. These are all temporary designations. They have nothing to do with the soul. If one seeks shelter of the spiritual platform by serving the Lord, by chanting the names of the Lord, by developing such devotion, Narottam Das Thakur, he longs for their mercy. He longs for their blessings. And this is one of the special features of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu's avatar, is he came to give this most priceless treasure to everyone and anyone without discrimination. The only qualification, essentially, is the willingness to accept it. With humility. I'd like to share one short story with you. Sometimes short stories take some time to tell. But considering eternity, which is reality, it's a very short story. There was a very, very great devotee and a very profound, learned scholar. His name was Balabhadra. And the Lord wanted to teach the world through this devotee. Previously, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling to Vrindavan and then returning, he met with Rupa Goswami at Prayag. And during that time, at the confluence of the rivers Jamuna, Ganga, and Saraswati, a very, very learned scholar and a very, very highly respected devotee named Balabhadra invited Lord Caitanya to his home. And Lord Caitanya went there. It's a very nice story. He took him across Jamuna to go to his home. And they were on a little boat. And Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, seeing Jamuna, became so intoxicated with ecstasy, thinking of Krishna. When he saw the waters of Jamuna, he just started dancing and dancing on the boat, and the boat was practically sinking. He's jumping in, and the devotees had to somehow or other. It was a very dangerous situation. That was Lord Caitanya. He's Krishna in the mood of a devotee to show how to become completely intoxicated for God. Not artificially, but from the heart. So Balabhadra decided to go home by a different direction because it was safer. But Lord Caitanya showered so much affection on him. And Balabhadra's heart became so deeply attached to Lord Chaitanya's association. Some years later, Balabhadra came to Jagannath Puri to meet Lord Caitanya. He came to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's room, and Lord Caitanya very graciously offered him a seat. And Balabhadra was so happy. He said, "For so long I have been longing to meet you. I always remember you. Your gracious kindness and affection has so much affected my life." And then, on the basis of the scriptures, he began to praise Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, "You have done something extraordinary. You have made the world chant the holy names of the Lord. Kali kalera dharma Krishna nam sankirtana Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tara Pravartana." He composed this beautiful verse, which means the fundamental principle of religion in this age of Kali Yuga is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And only one who is very specifically empowered by the Lord can spread this Harinam Sankirtan. Therefore, we can understand that you are empowered by Krishna. And when we see the manifestations of ecstasy that are in your life, that are ornamenting your form, we can understand that this is only possible by the mercy of Krishna. He quoted a verse from Bilva Mangala Thakur, which reveals that there are many avatars. There are many incarnations of the Lord that appear in various times and places according to the circumstances. But only Krishna himself, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, can awaken symptoms of ecstatic love. And we see in you, we see how Krishna is manifesting. Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, with much gravity, responded. He said, "Whatever you are saying does not apply to me. I am just a Mayavadi sannyasi who knows nothing about devotional service to Krishna. But whatever I do know, it is only by the mercy of the devotees. This principle that Lord Caitanya is teaching is so beautiful. Who is Lord Caitanya? Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. Radha and Krishna have assumed one form as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Caitanya is Krishna with the love and the luster of Srimati Radharani. To give that love to the world. Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Paradayate. Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaudatveshe Namaha. Many people declare themselves to be Krishna, especially these days. One time someone told Prabhupada that my guru is Krishna. And Prabhupada said, how do you know your guru is Krishna? Krishna appears according to the predictions of the scriptures and according to certain qualities. Krishna possesses all opulences. In fact, Prabhupada said, every other day someone comes and tells me their guru is Krishna. But the fact is, anyone who wants to declare themselves to be God says that they're Krishna. Yes? So one thing is for certain, that Krishna is God. So why take chances? Why not just worship Krishna? Then you know you're correct. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is predicted in Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, Upanishads as the Yuga Avatar, the Chanda Avatar. Chanda because he appears in the role of a devotee. This is incredible. Think about it. Krishna personally descended in his original form and spoke Bhagavad Gita to the whole world to teach people how to be devotee. But people rarely understand. Therefore, Krishna again comes, but in the role of his own devotee to teach us by his example. Prabhupada gives example that when a teacher is teaching elementary school students the alphabet, says this is how you make A. One diagonal line this way, another diagonal line the other way, and then a line in the middle and on the blackboard. Now, the teacher doesn't have to go through the exercise. The teacher knows, but goes through the exercise just to teach the students how to do it. Similarly, the Lord appears as a devotee to teach us how to be devotee. So Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu is Swayam Bhagavan, Aishwaryasya Samagrasya Viryasya Yashashashriya. He possesses all six opulences. What is the meaning of Bhagavan or God? The meaning of Bhagavan is one who possesses all six opulences in full. That means all knowledge, all wealth, all strength, all fame, all renunciation, and especially all beauty. Everything that everyone is attracted to in this whole existence, it is all emanating from Krishna. He is the source of all opulences, and he possesses all opulences in full. Krishna tells in Gita that whatever opulences you see in this world are just an infinitesimal spark of my splendor. Therefore, the Lord is all attractive. And that is the meaning of Krishna, all attractive. It is not a sectarian name. Anyone who believes God is all attractive can very comfortably call upon him as Krishna. So, here is Lord Caitanya, who is Krishna himself, the all-powerful source of everything that exists. But he's taking such a humble position, and he's speaking from his heart, that he gives all credit to his devotees. You've heard that beautiful song or seen the pictures of Krishna, who assumes the form of a little tiny baby and floats on a banyan tree leaf with his toe in his mouth. You have seen? Very beautiful. Kararavindara padaravindaya. Why is he doing this? Here is the source of the Virat Rupa, the universal form. In the 11th chapter of Gita, Krishna reveals to Arjuna universal form, all-pervading, creating and annihilating everything that exists. And he's taking such a simple form as a little infant baby child, and he's sucking on his toe. Now this is hard to understand for certain religious people. God is an old man throwing thunderbolts at the sinners. But here we find God as a little tiny baby sucking his toe. He has no other business than sucking his toes. He's totally absorbed. And why is he sucking his toes? Kapila Deva explains why. Because he sees his devotees. They worship his feet. And they derive such unbelievable, incredible ecstasy worshiping his feet. He wants to see what his feet taste like.